SNR market structure is very crucial to your trading because this is going to help you to be able to determine whether the market is going up or it is going down. And this gives us the direction as to what to do when we want to wait for our setups. So in this video, we are going to focus on SNR market structure. When you come here, you see that we have V's and then A's that are going up. And if you still don't know about the V's and A's, kindly watch my previous videos on levels. So we have in SNR terms, this market here, we can say it is uptrending. Why? Not because of simple saying it has created a higher highs and then higher lows, but the reason being that we have support here. This V is a support that was able to break this A level that is here. That makes this fractal here an uptrend, and then it pulls back and then break this resistance here. So the fact that resistances has been breaking or is always breaking, that makes this market an uptrend. So if we look here, this we can say is in a downtrend. Why? Because we can see that this support has been broken and then we got a pullback, and this support too has also been broken, and then we got a pullback. This support has been broken here. So when we look at it here, we can see that the resistance are being respected and then the supports are being broken. In simple terms, when the supports are being broken and the resistance are being respected, in SNR market structure, we say that this market is in a downtrend, and we are going to look at this and be able to understand it very much into details because it is much more than this. So pay close attention to this. With market structure, the time frames always work together, and you need to understand this. When you are dealing with a break of structure in M15 or M30, that tells you where the market is going. That means that the market is going to the H1 resistance or support, depending on what you are looking at. And if you are dealing with a breakout in H1, then that means that the market is trying to target H4 resistance or support, depending on what you are looking at, whether you are having a resistance breakout or a support breakout. And H4 break in structure is going to lead you to the daily time frame, and the daily time frame, a break in structure, will lead you to the weekly time frame. And this is very, very important for you to note. This part of the video, you have to pay attention. So if we have, let's take H4 and then daily, for example, because these two time frames are very, very important. If you will not master any of them, you should master these two time frames, and anything will follow. And if you understand even these two time frames, then you can apply everything to all the other time frames. So let's say that we are in daily support. So if we are in daily support here, then that means that we want to move to daily resistance. So from daily support, we travel to daily resistance, but the control time frame is H4. And what H4 will do is, if market trade and get to the daily support, then it breaks. Now, this breakout is telling us that we have hit a daily support and we need to start trading all the way to a daily resistance. In our next video, we will talk about storyline, so you will understand the daily to daily. So this breakout in H4, so this is H4, and then we got this structure to get breaking. Now, as it has broken, your next target should be the daily resistance, because this market is now going to travel this way until we get to the daily resistance. And what is going to happen in the daily resistance is that it is either going to break the daily resistance or it is going to break down like this. Immediately it breaks this first support that is here in H4. Mind you, this is H4. Immediately this support here is broken, market will take a pullback into H4 resistance, and then we have to target the whole way down to another daily support that will be here. And this is how the market is always trading. So you need to pay attention to that very, very well. So we have H4 breakout. H4 breakout in structure, or H4 change in structure, will lead you to a daily resistance or support. So let's say that H4 break in structure support, it's going to lead you to daily resistance over here. So this is how it works. And if you take the M15, M30, it is going to be the same thing. So we have a break in structure in M15 or M30, you have to be targeting H1 resistance or support depending on the market you are trading. And if you come to the daily, if you have a break in structure in daily, then that means that that is going to lead you into a weekly resistance or support. We will go into the markets and then be able to show more examples of this. Okay, so let's make more examples into this to clarify any doubts. So let's say that this is H1. So we want to use this as H1 support, or let's say H4. H4 support is here. We have H4 support. If this is H4 support, that means that you should be in H1 reading this structure. And now market was coming to the H4 support. Immediately it hit H4 support. We break the first resistance that led to this lower low that was created. Since this is being broken, now market is going to travel from this H1. The structure is going to move and it has to locate another H4 resistance here. So we have H4 resistance. So from this H4 support, you go to H1, we read the structural break, it will lead us to H4 resistance. So when we come here, let's say here we have daily support here. That means if this is daily support, we have to be reading the structure in H4. So this is H4 structure, and the last low, this is very important. The last high here that led to this low that was created, that high, when it gets broken, that means this is a hint for us to know that there is change in structure. Hence, we come back to levels that we expect market to pull back to, and then we take the market back to a resistance. Which resistance? It is taking us to daily resistance, because there is a break in structure uptrend. So we have to go to daily what? Resistance here. And when we break this last support that led to the daily resistance, that means we have hit a ceiling in the daily. Hence, we break structure that will lead us back down. So here also, for example, let's say that this starts at here. So let's say this is daily, or let's say weekly. We already have daily, weekly resistance. So from this weekly resistance, this is the last support that has pushed price up. Hence, we want to wait for that support to be broken. Since it's broken here, it has given us a hint that there is change in structure for the market. Hence, we wait to sell it at resistance levels, and market continue to break structure to the downside. Mind you, this is the daily time frame. Until we locate the next weekly resistance, a weekly support. We have weekly support here. Why? Because this is the daily time frame. The daily time frame controls the weekly. Immediately we hit here and then we break this structure. Then we have a hint that the market is no longer interested in going down. Now we have hit a weekly support. We are going to move all the way up again to another weekly resistance, because there is break in structure in the weekly time frame. Okay, so let's take this as an example in the weekly time frame, and we mark this weekly resistance and then this weekly support. Now, those of you who haven't watched that video on levels, you have to do that because you need to understand that we have to mark the whole of this. So you need to go to that video, watch, and then come back. So this, you can see, was a rejection in the weekly support, and from this, if we are looking up, this was the next weekly resistance, this was another weekly resistance, but let's focus on the V levels and then the A levels. So from this, if we go to the daily time frame, we should see a breakout here that will lead this market to this weekly resistance, and from this weekly resistance we traded back into weekly support here. We have to watch here too. In this weekly candle, we have to see a break in structure and then market try to push to the upside. This was another weekly resistance, support. From this level, market came back into this support level and then push to the upside. So we'll go into the daily time frame and see what has happened there in terms of structure. So in the daily time frame, we can see this is the first time that market came to the level. This is our weekly time frame, so the weekly support rather. So we can see this was the last support that pushed price into the weekly support, and we got this rejection. Market traded all the way back to break this support that is here. Since this support has been broken, now we know we are in a bullish market and our target is back into the next weekly. So from here, we don't just try to buy the market immediately it breaks. We have to identify some levels that are important to us. So from here, we identify some levels, and then market came back, traded back to those levels, and we can see how market has begun to create higher highs and then higher lows, or breaking, continue to break the resistance that have been created until we got to the weekly resistance. When we got to the weekly resistance, this was the last support that pushed price to the weekly resistance. From here, it got broken. That tells us that the market wants to reach the weekly support. Hence, market traded and came back to the weekly support here. And what happened? This was the last resistance that pushed market into the resistance. We need to see that broken. If that is broken, this gives us a hint that market wants to travel all the way up again. So we have to find a resistance here. This is the daily time frame, so this can be a roadblock in the daily that has stopped price all the way back into this daily time frame. So from this point, you can see market traded all the way back again because it has confirmed the bullishness on the daily time frame on the weekly support. So this is very, very important in our trading, and you need to practice and practice this. And we can go to the line chart. With the line chart, it's even much better and then clearer. So from this, we can see how this was being broken. We can see it from here. It was being broken, and then we got a pullback, continue to break the resistance here. We got to the weekly support. This was the last support that pushed price. It got broken here, and then from there we pulled back, came back to the weekly support. This is the last resistance that pushed it down. It got broken. We traded all the way up, came back into this QM level, and then from here we also even broke the structure here. You can see this level was being broken. We got a pullback, and the market continued to create higher highs to the top there. So that is it about the market structure. If you want to understand more, you have to do more work on yourself. Take the H4 time frame and the daily time frame, and then you will see how the market is moving on it. I will do more videos on market structure because this is very, very important in terms of direction. Combining this with the storyline is very, very powerful. I'm even using part of the storyline techniques here because you cannot speak with the structure without adding the storyline. So have a good day, subscribe, and always expect more videos.